Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting from Weaponized Soft Productions Studio B, welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. Actually, I hope y'all's are doing great. And hello, Dave, over there in YouTube land. He says, hey, happy Saturday. Yes, dude, what's the latest on the network deal? I did a little research. It's not that hard, the network deal. You don't have to read this on the air. Well, too late, but we can chat about it at another time if you like. Yeah. Actually, yeah, let's get in contact after the show, because I'm wanting to give you updates on that. And, you know, of which case that is still a go. That's definitely still a go. Stuff had happened, unfortunately. So I'm kind of taking that, you know, rolling that back just a little bit, but I have been doing, you know, all the research on that. I know where I'm going about it and whatnot. I'm even going to be building an app at some point in time after, you know, the radio station goes live and whatnot. That's not going to be anything immediate, but at any rate, that is definitely still a go. A home for Weaponized Soft Productions radio. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It is going to be a good time. So yes, of course, today we are going to be talking about Veterans Day coming up, which is this Monday, November 11th. And, you know, something you can do to give to veterans charities. We will be talking about that. And also, of course, we're going to be talking about the results of the 2024 election. Yeah. So, y'all know how I like to start the show. I like to start it off with a little bit of satire, and my go-to home for satire news is the Babylon Bee, because it is not just satire, it's satire with a purpose. So let's go ahead and get into this article, of course, from the Babylon Bee. Headline: Trump defeats Kamala, Hollywood, news media deep state, FBI, universities, Department of Justice, political experts, science, medical community, and all of Diddy's homies. I had to laugh at that one. I really did. And I'm not going to be reading the entirety of this article, but I am going to be reading these first 3 paragraphs because to me, well, it cracks me up. The entire world was still abuzz this morning following the results of the U.S. presidential election. As President-elect Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris, Hollywood, the news media, the deep state, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, universities across the country, the Department of Justice, political experts, science, the medical community, and all of Diddy's homies. The upset sent shockwaves throughout the political sphere, with analysts struggling to explain how Trump managed to win against every facet of government, academia, corporate America, entertainment, and Sean Diddy's nefarious cadre of associates, however you pronounce that word. He overcame what seemed to be impossible odds, one analyst said. There may be another candidate who could have conceivably beaten Kamala Harris. Some segments of the media and a few celebrity endorsements, but this is insane. Trump essentially defeated the entire world. Yeah, I mean, when you think about all of the attacks, you know, not only in the past year or 2 or 3 or 4, but the past 8. I mean, holy crap. It's just been attack after attack after attack. And against all odds, against all of that, Trump wound up on top. I mean, wow. To me, that was cool. I mean, it really was. You know, now on Monday, I actually got asked by a coworker of mine who is going to win the election. And I told him, I'm like, dude, I don't know. You know, I mean, there's too many variables. You know, I mean, I'm not really sure. And then I go, you know what? Scratch that. President Trump is going to win 35 out of 50 states. He's going to win the popular vote. It's not even going to be close. The question is, how much are the Democrats going to cheat? I mean, that's truly what the question was. It wasn't who's going to win. It's you know, who's going, you know, how much are the Democrats going to cheat? I've heard somebody say that it's not who, you know, who cast the ballots, it's who counts the ballots that determines who's going to be victorious. And yeah, I can understand that. I can see that philosophy. But there was so many people this time around that, you know, were promoting voting early. Now, I've voted early for the past, you know, few presidential election cycles because I'm a truck driver and I never know when I'm actually going to be home. Otherwise, I prefer to vote on the election day. And most Republicans do because, in a matter of speaking, as a Republican, we all kind of share the same frame of mind on that. We kind of look at election day as a sacred day, if you will. And I don't know that's far reaching on that, you know, that we look at it almost as a holy day. But I mean, we do truly believe that election day should be a national holiday. And, you know, with, you know, a handful of, you know, exceptions on that, businesses, in a matter of speaking, should be closed. I mean, to make it easier for people to get out, do their civic duty and vote. We almost look at it as a holy day. A day to be honored. And there you go. I mean, it's kind of that simple. So it was strange during this election because you had so many people, you know, Dan Bongino, Matt Locke of Voice of the Working Man podcast. You had a lot of the hosts on Sirius XM satellite radio channel 125, the Patriot channel, that were also promoting get out and vote early. You know, Andrew Wilkow, David Webb, Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity actually has been a proponent of this, a supporter of this, a promoter of this, you know, whatever word you want to throw in there, for some time. And one of his reasonings behind doing it is, well, it's kind of, the majority of the time you have the Democrats that are voting early. And whenever you wake up on election day and you see this huge gap that you have to make up in a single day, it can be very discouraging for people. And of which case, yeah, okay, I understand that frame of mind on that. I could, I can get behind that. And, one of the things that Dan Bongino was saying was that if you get out and you vote early, let's say something happens. You can't make it to the poll. Well, there's another day. You have more time. As to where if you wait till election day, then all kinds of things can happen. All kinds of things can happen outside of your control. And then now you're SOL. And of which case, yeah, I get that. I really do. In this election season, early voting was huge. A lot of people were getting out and putting in and banking their vote early. A lot of people were. And the thing is, because of that, there was just way too much. The math didn't work for the Democrats to really steal the election. Dave put in and goes, I voted early as well for those exact reasons. What if? Exactly. And that's what you had to ask yourself. What if? Because we were seeing different issues, in many states and many counties. They were having issues, problems with, the election, the machines and whatnot, whenever I went to vote early. And this wasn't a huge deal because it really didn't, take a long time for them to fix. But they were swapping out the toner and the printer that they were using for printing the ballots, and in which case it took them a while. And I mean, granted, they still had the digital machine that was there and you could have voted on that. But, most people where I'm at are like, I just don't trust that stinking thing. And I think I voted on it once, several years back, but it was like, I prefer a paper ballot. I just do. I mean, that's what I prefer. And they've had issues with the toner, the printers and whatnot. They've had issues, and of which case, like I said, it didn't take them very long to fix the problem. But there was still a problem. And, it was an aspect of if those problems arise that they can't just immediately fix, they're sending people home without the ability to vote. And of which case, bank your vote early. Then in case of an emergency, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about something happening, some type of a natural disaster, the power going out. You don't have to worry about, running out of ballots or anything like that. There were definitely, options that you wouldn't necessarily have if you waited till election day. And I remember 4 years ago, and this is something that Steven Crowder of Louder with Crowder was talking about, hat tip to him, that, last time around, they knew shenanigans were going on pretty much immediately. They knew that there was some stuff that, just didn't add up. And, but unfortunately, because they didn't have access to the information like what legacy media has, they were kind of left scratching their head because even though they knew there was shenanigans going on, they couldn't necessarily prove it. And that's why this time around, they put in and goes, I do have a small issue with the TV news reporting voting numbers with only 3% of the precincts reporting. Yeah, absolutely. That can encourage some to vote and some to stay home. Absolutely. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. And I actually agree with you 100% on that. I mean, in all honesty, I don't, and this is my opinion, and I'll give you my opinion, and then I'll tell you the why afterwards. Dave also continues, I think we all should vote regardless of the numbers and how many precincts are reporting. Reporting, absolutely. But I don't think they should really be reporting numbers at all until after the polls end, okay? So until after the polls end and voting is done out in California, I don't think they should be reporting any of it. I really don't, because that was one of the things that allowed the Democrats to win last time around was they got all the numbers. They knew how many votes they needed to cast and how much they needed to cheat. And there you go. I think, just like Dave does, that everybody should just get out and vote regardless of the numbers. You know, do your civic duty. Let your voice be heard. Don't worry about the numbers until after the election, and whoever wins, wins. I mean, that's in all honesty how I think it should be. Because whenever you report them numbers early, then you just have that extra time to fudge the numbers here and there. You know, that's not to say that they shouldn't be counting, but Dave put in here, it encourages mob behavior one way or the other. Yeah. By reporting those numbers, you're absolutely right. You know, it encourages mob behavior. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But so back to Louderwith Crowder, you know, he was discouraged about 2020 not having the resources available that legacy media had, and kind of at their, you know, at the whim of them on reporting different things that was going on. And Steven Crowder was like, I'm not, you know, never again. We're not doing that this time. And they dumped, they dumped a buttload of money into having boots on the ground, access to information in every swing state, in all the bigger counties. I mean, they had just I don't want to say a mob of people, but they had a huge amount of people that were paying attention to what was going on. And that was one of the things that made this election different, was because of what had happened last time around. We were way more on our toes about keeping an eye out for potential fraud. That's what happened. And there was a lot of, you know, I mean, there were people out there that were following and recording people whom were, you know, taking ballots out of the ballot boxes and, you know, taking them to where they needed to be. I mean, there were people out there that were, you know, looking at ballot boxes, making sure they were secured and everything else, and just making sure that there was no shenanigans going on. We had people in various precincts that were watching the votes and everything else. I mean, we had people on the ground everywhere this time around that could report live time about everything. We wasn't going to let it happen again. And, you know, the thing that the early voting did, because Republicans this time came out and voted early in mass numbers. I mean, holy cow. And, you know, Republicans, for the first time in history, outpaced Democrats in early voting. I mean, the Democrats didn't have the numbers. And if they relied on, you know, that extra time to get people out and vote on election day, then that also meant that they really couldn't pull a lot of shenanigans on election day. Because normally in the past, if something were to happen on election day, the only people that it's really going to affect, or at least the vast majority of people whom it's going to affect, is Republican voters. This time around, because so much early voting was done, the Democrats did not have the numbers, and it was just sweeping across the board. It was phenomenal. You know, we had results a lot earlier than what we actually thought that we would have. I mean, granted, they were still counting in Nevada. They were still counting in Arizona, I think. Pennsylvania took a little bit of time, but finally they did go ahead and announce that one. But I mean, yeah, it was holy crap. Now, I got to admit that I was wrong on my prediction whenever I told my coworker that Trump was going to win 35 out of 50 states. He didn't. That's not what he won by. He won 31 out of 50 states. And, you know, like, in all honesty, I really thought that, you know, some of the states that he would at least have done better. But even still, this was historic. Dave puts in and goes, but what's next? Or early elections will be voting in September. Will there be summer voting? How far can we go? And you're right. You're right. And you really got to be, you got to be careful as far as, with voting early, especially whenever you're talking, voting early during the primaries, because you never know. Maybe that person isn't going to win, but I mean, all right. In all honesty, I think early voting beginning like a month before, early voting beginning in like October. I think it's a little ridiculous to go too much pre-early. Okay, I got you. Pre-early elections. I mean, I don't think I think it's a little extreme to go much more than a month. I really do. I mean, if you can't plan for voting early, then that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of the aspect of it's like, dude, you pretty much know when election day is. I mean, it happens every 4 years, the first Tuesday of November, every 4 years. You know when election day is. There's really no excuse not to get out and be able to vote on election day. I do like the idea of early voting. It closes the gap. It helps with morale. I guess you can say that one. But I think much more than a month early is a little on the ridiculous side. There's way too much things that can happen, information that can get released, sway people's minds. I think much more than a month is a bit on the ridiculous side. I don't think we should be going any more than that. 2-3 weeks, 4 at the most. There you go. Outside of that, I don't really think they should be doing that. But that's beside the point. So we had people that were really paying attention to the ballot boxes, to the voting, to the polls, to the boxes, to everything. People were paying attention, and the Democrats weren't able to, even whenever they were trying to do something weird. There were people there calling them out, calling up the election board and say, hey, this shouldn't be happening. This can't happen. What's going on here? And that was freaking amazing. It really was. I mean, I was very encouraged whenever I had heard a lot of that kind of thing. I really was, So you had, how do you mean with like the early voting? Should that be a federal law or left to the states? I mean, here's the thing, because like we don't have a national election. We have 50 individual state elections, and it is up to each individual state in order to choose the president. I mean, that's why we don't base the presidency off of the popular vote, because it is the United States of America, not the United People of America. That's why the Electoral College is important, because it gives Rhode Island an equal playing field as California. And, it's not just the population centers that are electing the president, and of which case then a president would only have to go to like 5 different, cities, and that would be it. Everything else would be completely and utterly ignored. But being a federal law, as far as when early voting can start, I mean, I don't really see how they can do that, because, it's 50 state elections that are voting for the presidency. It's not one election, so, I mean, I don't really know how they would be able to do that. And in which case, I mean, and here's my thing. My default is states' rights versus, federal power. Okay. To decentralize the process and whatnot. I think that's, that's always a better place for me to rest on, period. Okay. Decentralizing power, decentralizing, the decision making. That's why, our federal government wanted a small federal government and a bigger state government. I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, it wasn't the federal government that created the states. It was the states that created the federal government. The states should have more power. So, I mean, decentralizing power, absolutely. That's kind of my default setting on any decision. So the big question is, and this is something that Dave actually asked earlier, is what's next? What's next? And I got some ideas on that. Now one, I was talking last week about being petty. I really was, because now you have, people are losing their ever-loving mind. The View, and I've got several articles about this that is available in my Flipboard in my magazine on Flipboard. But, before I get actually into that kind of stuff, let's talk about a little bit of the results, because I've got a couple different maps here. Let me go ahead and get rid of that because I don't need that up anymore. So this is 270 to win, and this is from ABC. So this is actually pretty cool. Oh, that went up. All right, so that's awesome. So according to 270 to win, 270towin.com, this is, one of the websites that I was looking at. It shows that Harris got 226 to Trump's 312 electoral college votes. And as you can see the map, there is a lot of red there. There's a lot of red. Boy, howdy, there's a lot of red. It looks pretty stinking nice. It really does. You have, looking at the Senate, you've got, 46 Democrats to 52 Republicans. The forecast that it shows, and this again is according to 270 to win, the forecast is 48 to 52. But I guess there are still some, ones that they haven't finished counting yet, So the information is there, available. Check it out, 270towin.com. And looking at the House, you have 208 Democrats to 216 Republicans. So nobody at this particular point in time has a majority, because you need 218 to control the House. And it's forecasted that there's going to be 212 Democrat to 216 Republican, and they're still doing some counting in there. And looking over to, you also have the gubernatorial races in here. But looking over at USA Today, you've got Kamala Harris, it says at 226 to Donald Trump's 301. Does it show forecasted in here? I don't see forecasted. And he won, President Trump won all but one. So far, Arizona is still up in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 6 of the 7 swing states. Holy cow. 1 Nevada, 1 Georgia, 1 Michigan, 1 North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The only thing that they're still working on right now is Arizona, that has an estimated 81.55% of the vote. And here's the thing. I gotta be honest with you, okay? You have third world countries that can count in a single day and be done, and the results of the election are known the same day. You have Florida. You have Texas, that has way more of a much bigger population than any of these swing states, but yet for some reason they can get all their votes counted that night and know within Texas and Florida. I think it was Florida, actually. You knew a half hour after the polls closed who won the election. They were on it, and they had way more ballots to count than what these swing states did. What the heck are they doing? What the heck is Arizona doing? Why are you waiting? What the hell? I never understood that. Never understood that. Even hand counting these stinking things, there's no reason why you can't get it done. It's ridiculous, right? Isn't it ridiculous? It's ridiculous. But anyway, continuing on, I apologize. I digress. The Senate, according to USA Today, you've got Democrat 46 to Republican 53. So you got, one more towards the Republican side, according to USA Today. And then the House, you have, huh? Oh, 200 to Republican, 211. So neither of them, as of right now, show a majority in the House of Representatives. But like, in all honesty, you know, and this is just to be honest, considering Trump got, 31 out of 50 states. And of course, each district has their own stuff going on, but besides that, he won the popular vote. You think that would translate down ballot. That was actually one of the things that was kind of weird in 2020, was because the down ballot didn't reflect a Biden win. And since we're talking about that, let's go ahead and bring those numbers up, okay? I got a bunch of numbers written down. And these are votes cast in the 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024 elections. Okay? Now, according to the numbers that I got, let's just start off with 2008. You had 131.3 votes cast, which represents 61.6% of registered voters. In 2012, you had 129 million, which represented 58.6% of registered voters. In 2016, you had 136.7, which represented 60.1. To date, it was the most votes cast in the election, or at least the highest percentage of the registered voters that voted, 60.1%. Holy crap. In 2020, President Trump got more votes in 2020 than what he did in 2016, but still somehow he lost. The number of votes that were cast was 159.6 million votes, which represented 60.8% of registered voters. In 2024, you had, now there's quite a few different numbers that I've seen on this. They're kind of forecasting between 144.6 million votes and 152.9 million votes. But I've also seen the number of 138 million votes. So I'm really not sure as of right now. I think 138 so far, maybe 139 million votes. And they're saying that this year was record turnout. From record turnout, more people coming out to vote than ever before. And it's like, wait a second. There was 159 million votes cast in 2020. If there's significantly less, then how can we have record turnout with having far fewer votes cast than in 2020? That you can't have both. Both can't be true at the same time, people. I don't want to say that absolutely proves that there was some type of shenanigans going on, but I mean, come on, it's pretty stinking clear. It really is. I got articles that I wrote on that. You guys can head on over to my Flipboard and check out, actually, I think it's in my Substack, and check out that, which you can get, link.thehohoshow.com/Substack, which will take you to that. And then you can just check out the stuff yourself. It's like 5-6 pages. It's quite a big report that was written on there. Not my information. It was somebody else's. I just found it when I was doing some research, and I'm like, yes, I'm posting this. I'm spreading the word on this. Abso-freaking-lutely. So there you go. The results of the election, a clear mandate to the Republican Party to govern. And so what should the next 4 years look like? What should President Trump be doing during, the first 100 days? Because mind you, people, we only got 2 years to accomplish like what, 90% of what it is that President Trump wants to accomplish during this final term. And if he doesn't have the support of Congress, he is really going to be limited on what he's able to do. And we're going to be talking about that right on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to go.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct.
Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. All right, and we are back. So yes, this segment we're going to be talking about what to expect, what maybe should happen during the first 100 days and definitely the first 2 years of the Trump presidency. Because mind you, there's a lot of things that Trump can actually do by himself, if you will. You know, executive orders, okay, sure. But, you know, I mean, there's still a lot of things that has to be done through Congress. You know, that he just doesn't. Oh, holy crap. I apologize. Okay. 30 days in advance. Okay, here we go. Dave put in here, goes, in my opinion, it wasn't early voting that decided or affected the election. I think it was that Harris was a bad candidate. Maybe the worst ever. Absolutely. You are correct on that. And you also put in here that I'm not being biased. She had no answers for policy and no or bad answers for many of the questions. It turned off and turned away a lot of Democratic voters, male and female, black, white, or other. And you are right on that. You are very right on that. But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like the early voting, it did help. Yes, Kamala Harris was the worst candidate. Holy crap. She had no answers on policy. All she talked about were platitudes. All she talked about was talking points. She never answered questions. She really didn't. And you can't claim that, we're going to move forward into the future. We're going to turn away from what's going on right now. But wait a second, you're the one in control right now. It's the Democrat Party. And, she herself said that she wouldn't have done anything different than what Biden did. And things are absolute crap. And people are looking at their pocketbooks, looking at how thin, the money that they have, looking at the illegal border crossings and the out of control inflation, fuel prices, everything. And it's like, okay, well, if you weren't going to do anything different, then why should we vote for you? Because we don't like how this is going. However, but the early voting, where it helped was because the sheer number of people that came out in support of Trump and voted early, that just made it to where they had the math wasn't mathing. They wasn't able to, pull the shenanigans, a lot of the same shenanigans that they did in 2020 and steal the election. And they didn't have the mail-in voting that was really going on this time around either. So I mean, like it definitely did help. But I do agree with you. The biggest problem that the Democrats had was Kamala Harris. I mean, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Now, like I was saying, though, there's a lot of things that Trump can do right out of the gate. He can do executive orders, the whole stay in Mexico, a lot of different things. He can, finish building the stinking wall, which they need to do. And they've needed to do that for many freaking years. So there's a lot of things that Trump can do on his own. Okay. Mind you, a lot of the times the problem isn't the laws that need to be written. It's the enforcement of the laws. It's the follow through of the laws. Do we need another law regarding border crossing? No. The law has already been written, but the law hasn't been followed. What are you going to do? Write a law that says that the president has to obey the law? That's already kind of in there, isn't it? Because if the president fails to, do his sworn duty, which protecting the border is a sworn duty of the presidency, then you have that ability to impeach. Why didn't we do that? Why were the Republicans without cojones, without testicular fortitude, without marbles? Why? That's something that needs to change. Holding these representatives accountable to where they actually start doing what the people want. I mean, isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? They're not supposed to be out there lining their own pockets. They're supposed to be out there helping out the American people. That's what their charge is. We're the ones who elected them in the office. But anyway, the problem most of the time isn't in the law. It's in the enforcement. There's already laws on the books about illegal border crossings. It's about time that they actually start following these laws. There's already laws against murder. Why do you have to have a law against this, that, the other? Why does it have to be a bigger crime to murder this kind of person or this gender of person or, a person with these beliefs? I mean, that's kind of extreme, if you ask me. It's not that the laws aren't there. It's that the laws aren't followed. And even though they're not followed, there's no repercussions that happen. I mean, think about it. During Trump's presidency, you had, people that went to jail for not going to Congress whenever they were subpoenaed by Congress to testify. You had people during the Trump administration and, during the Biden administration that were given subpoenas by Congress that didn't show up, even though it was the same type of thing happening. You had talking heads that were going, oh, well, these subpoenas are important. They need to be enforced and these people deserve to go to jail. But yet whenever it was a Democrat that was ignoring the subpoena of a Republican-controlled House of Representatives. It was ignored and nothing happened. Nobody went to jail. Nobody was held accountable. And it's like, what the hell? Why don't we hold people accountable? We need to start doing that. And we need to start doing that day one. I tell you what, I respect the Democrat Party because they have the intestinal fortitude, the iron testicles of will to follow through with their agenda, regardless of how little of a majority they may have or even being in the minority. They always, always, always fight for their agenda as if there is no tomorrow. I respect the Democrats for that reason. Absolutely, I do. They fight, and they fight like hell. The Democrat Party, not so much. They're always about, we got to reach across the aisle. We got to reach across the aisle. We can't just, rule with the heavy fist just because we got elected in the office. We have to reach across the aisle to our friends on the other side. Bravo, Sierra. No, you don't. And this election kind of proves that because of, 31 out of 50 states winning the popular vote as well. The Republicans having a mandate to govern in the way that Republicans want them to govern. We don't need to reach across the aisle. Why reach across the aisle? Because that just means that you people are less of a Republican and more of a Democrat. We don't want the policies that the Democrats were wanting to put in place. Hello. So we need to strengthen the border. We need to stop the illegal flow. We need to drill, baby, drill, which will allow us to become energy independent, which will, hinder, it'll hinder a lot. It'll hinder Russia's ability to, fight against Ukraine. It'll stop a lot. Just us becoming energy independent again and actually exporting oil. Duh. Get the Keystone XL pipeline underway again. Unleash America. I mean, we have been holding ourselves back. We have been allowing government to hold us back for far too long. Trump wants to institute tariffs against countries that don't want to exercise free and fair and reciprocal trade. And I find that very positive. We need that, because what we see happening, and this is one of the thoughts behind the tariffs that were against China. You have us sending goods over to China. And what does China do? Do they tariff it? No. Not exactly. Is what they do is they put a VAT tax on it. A value-added tax. And they price it so high that, their people either can't afford it or the Chinese, versions of that are so much cheaper to where, they're not buying American products. Do we do that here? No, we don't. So you have China that'll buy our goods and put an exorbitant tax on our products. And then whenever we import things over here, we have to take the moral high road. I have no idea why. And we don't do anything like that against Chinese goods. And who gets hurt by this? The American people. American industry. American industry doesn't want to be in America. Why? Because it's a losing fight. You have so much red tape that you got to cut through, that you got to bypass, that you got to figure out how you're going to be able to operate within the rules that they put in there. So much regulations, so much everything. You have all kinds of, hoops you got to jump through, hurdles you got to jump, red tape you got to, you got to abide by. And you go over to China and none of those things exist. I mean, not none of them, but, far less than what exists over here. The cost of production, the cost of labor, the red tape. And then if you import your goods from China, there you go. Americans will buy it up. We're hurting American industry by allowing this type of stuff to go on. And one of the things that President Trump wants to do, and hopefully he can pull this off in the first 100 days, hopefully Congress will support this and actually get it done, is he wants to cut through the red tape. He wants to lower corporate tax rates. He wants to lower tax rates across the board. Dude, since Biden came into office, my tax returns have been a joke. An absolute joke. My tax returns have basically gone down to zero. Zilch. Nothing. I think last year my tax return was $4. Really? It was almost $2 during the Trump administration. Under Biden, $4. You kidding me? I got more in state tax than what I did in federal tax, and that never happens. I'm in Illinois. I mean, we're not the highest tax rate, but we're pretty stinking up there. I actually got more back in my Illinois state taxes than what I did in my federal taxes, and that's never happened to me before in my life. But it happened under Biden. Holy crap. So that's just some of the things that Trump's wanting to do. Cut through the red tape. He's wanting to, reduce the size and scope of the federal government, get rid of a lot of these regulations that hold businesses back from making money, from producing. There is absolutely no reason why everything that we need in this country can't be manufactured in this country. There's no need for it. The steel industry has all but gone extinct. The automobile industry has all but gone extinct. But we need to get these things back to strengthen America. Because what happens if the worst were to occur? We are too dependent on foreign industry on a day-to-day basis that it's not even funny. From oil to steel, everything. Why are we not self-sufficient? I mean, I'm not saying cut all imports. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. But allow the United States industry to be competitive on the global market and on the national market. If you don't help them, if you don't cut the red tape, if you don't get rid of some regulations, if you don't make it virtually impossible to open, maintain, run, and operate and make money, then you're not going to have American industry left. That's what Trump wants to do. And that's also one of the things that he's wanting to accomplish with these tariffs is, okay, if you people don't want to operate in good faith by not putting these stupid taxes on American industry, then you're getting tariffed. He's wanting to bring businesses back to America, making it profitable again for industry to be here by saying, okay, if you want to sell your product in America, then you're going to put a factory in America. You're going to at least assemble your products here, making way for businesses, employment, more people joining the workforce, which means more taxes. That's amazing. So yeah, there's something else that we need to see happen. Cutting regulation, cutting the red tape. And another thing that we need to see happen is a huge shrink in the size and scope of government, period. I mean, it's sad that most of the jobs that were created during the Biden administration weren't private sector jobs. They weren't. They were government jobs. It was increasing the size and scope and power of the federal government. We don't need more government. Our founding fathers believed in a small government, not a big one, not a big bloated overpowered government. I mean, holy crap. You know, every state has a Department of Education. Why do we need a federal Department of Education? We don't. Nothing in the Constitution, this very short freaking book, nothing in here grants the Department of Education its power on the federal level. You want to have it on the state? Great, go for it. That's where the power should be. You know, 10th Amendment, if it's not specifically given to the federal government or restricted to the states and it belongs to the states and the people, that's where it should be. On multiple levels, that's where it should be. The Department of Education, the Department of Transportation, you know, all of that crap, that's the way it should be. There's no need for any of these departments. They don't need to be there. Absolutely not. I completely disagree with all that crap. It needs to be gone. The FBI, the CIA, yeah, I mean, these are things that should be on the federal level because as part of the executive branch to enforce the laws, if something happens, yes, you need to investigate it. You need to have the attorney generals. You need to have the Department of Justice. You need to have those things. However, these things need to be stripped. And I don't necessarily want to say from the top down, as in clean the entirety of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the CIA. I'm not saying from the top all the way down to the bottom, get rid of these people, but definitely the upper echelon. Definitely the people that have been in charge for the past 8, 10, 20 years. They need to go. They have weaponized the Department of Justice. They have weaponized the FBI. They have weaponized the CIA. They need to go. I mean, good grief. You know, Nixon, for weaponizing what was he weaponized? The IRS? Obama did that. Biden did that. And Biden weaponized more. Obama weaponized more. But yet, where's the shame? Are they hiding what they're doing? No, they're being open and honest about it. And apparently the American people don't care. It needs to be gone. It needs to be done away with. The power needs to be returned to the states where it belongs. I'm not saying that our children should not be educated. They absolutely should be educated. But you know what? You say that like before 1978, before the Department of Education was created, that our children were stupid idiots and couldn't compete on the world stage in the field of education. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at the GPA, if you look at the scoring, if you look at the quality of education, our education has only faltered and gone down since the establishment of the Department of Education. What's that tell you? Does that tell you we need to throw more money at it, or does that tell you that just we need to do away with it and let the states control it like they used to? If the federal government does a sucky job at doing it, then they shouldn't be doing it anymore. And oh yeah, by the way, they're not supposed to be doing it according to the Constitution anyway. It belongs in the hands of the states. Why in the world do we allow the federal government to seize and control power that they were never given the mandate to hold? I have absolutely no freaking idea, and Trump needs to put a stop to it. Absolutely. It's not just about the size and scope of the federal government. It's about the size and scope of these different bureaucrats and technocrats and everything else that have no business. I mean, like, I told this story before in the past. Some guy was like, driving past the Department of Agriculture, and he pointed at that building and said, not a single farmer works in that building. And yet every farmer was held subject by the Department of Agriculture. Why? Not a single farmer works there. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They have no clue. They don't understand what it means to be a farmer, to be a rancher. And yet they're the ones that are making all the rules that the ranchers and the farmers need to abide by, having no working knowledge and understanding of what the hell it is they're talking about. There's a problem with that. If it was restricted to where the power, were in the hands of the states and the individual communities, people that actually understand what's going on, its impact on the local level, who cares about the national level? Because, the problems that Florida faces are not the same problems that North Dakota faces. Why are we putting them both in the same bucket? It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. These are the things that we need to fix in the federal government. Reduce the size and scope. Get rid of these various, because here's the thing too. Think about how much money we would save on the national level. We no longer have to pay for a federal Department of Education. That money can go back to the states where it belongs. Their budgets can increase, and then they could actually do the job necessary and do it better than the federal government. Abso-freaking-lutely. Oh, hey, holy crap. And hello, Dave, over there in Rumble Land. I'm sorry I didn't see these before. I apologize. All right, so let's see here. Iron Testicles of Will. Yes, a nice title for a karate movie. You are right on that. He also put in here, he goes, I'm not seeing calls to get rid of the electoral college vote because he won the popular vote. Yep, drill, baby, drill. Absolutely. And just kind of scanning through these a little bit. Okay, so you can make that correlation with a lot of things. The more the government gets involved, the more things go wrong. Yep, affirmative action, Roe v. Wade, Department of Education, World Health Organization, FDA. Yeah. A lot of issues. So these are just a few of the things that need to happen. If you want government, then the government should be there on a local level. That's where the power belongs in the first place, as per the Constitution. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Whenever it comes to governance, where the power should reside, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, this is my gold standard. I don't care about case law precedents. I really don't. Because what you have happen all too often, whenever you're talking about case law precedents, is you got this is the line as per the Constitution. And then you got this law that kind of just passes it a little bit. Not a lot. The majority of it is still within the scope because you got, this range that's like right here, but it still goes past a little bit, right? But it's not so bad because, only, 10% of the 90% of that law or of the 100% of that law goes beyond the scope of the Constitution. The rest of it is still within. So you got 90% that's still within the scope of the Constitution. Only 10% exceeds the power that should be there. So you got, just this much going past it. But the next law goes past it even more. And then the next law passed it even more. And then the next law passed it even more. And the next law passed it even more until sooner or later you get so beyond the scope and boundaries that the Constitution puts in place that now the laws that we currently have nowhere near what should be according to the Constitution. That's what we have seen for the past 250 years. And there's nothing in the Constitution about case law precedents. What is that saying? We don't, being burdened by what was, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember how it is that was worded. Dave puts in there, goes, you can pass all the laws you want, but if you don't change the people, then nothing will ever change. And, you're right. But kind of like what I was saying earlier, though, it's about enforcement, because there's already laws on the book that we're supposed to be guarding our southern border. I mean, that legit is one of the things that explicitly the federal government is supposed to be doing. Why wasn't it done? Because they didn't want to do it. Why didn't Congress do something about it? Why didn't they hold the executive branch accountable? Well, apparently they didn't want to. I mean, the only people that can force government to do what it is they're supposed to do is we the people. I mean, that's basically it. If we don't hold their feet to the fire, if we don't hold them accountable, if we don't demand that something happens, something changes, if we just remain stupid, ignorant, blind, and we just accept, then nothing ever is going to change. During the four-year term of President Trump's first term, we seen what it was like. We really did. We seen what it was like. We seen an unleashed economy. We seen all the tax cuts, and we seen how, even though there was tax cuts across the board, not just, for one group or class of people, but all groups and classes of people, we've seen what happens when it is cut loose. We've seen what happens when we are able to drill, baby, drill. We've seen what happens when we were energy independent. We've seen what happens when the fuel prices were low. We've seen what happens when the grocery store prices are low, when everything was lower housing costs, lower everything. We've seen what happens. We've seen how much that our economy grew. Energy independent, being able to export oil instead of just being forced to import it. We've seen what happens. And it wasn't that long ago. And then we've seen what happens under Democrat control. It's not like we were removed by generations and years of lies. The Democrat Party was the party of Jim Crow, the party of segregation, the party of slavery, the party of internment. That's the Democrat Party. But yet, for some reason, you have people that vote for them. Why does the black vote normally go to Democrats? Well, they have better marketing. They lie better. They offer free crap while destroying the very group of people that they are claiming to be helping. Yeah. We've seen what happens. We've seen a contrast. And the American people chose freedom. The American people chose a smaller federal government. The American people chose less taxes, less regulations, less red tape, growth beyond measure. And if we actually unleash the true potential that this country has, we will see growth like we have never seen before. Dave puts in here as well. He goes, I also, too many times that the Republicans are too humble. We don't brag like the Democrats do. Yeah. And we don't fight like the Democrats do. We're crap at messaging. Not we, as in the voter, we as in the people, we as in the true Republicans, true conservatives, patriots, libertarians. We're not bad at messaging. It's The ruling class. I mean, good grief, man. Okay. 70. Let me pull this up. I got something that I tell you what, this is a holy crap figure that I seen. Let me try to find it. I think it might have been in here. Let me look. I got to look something up because this was very, very, very telling. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, here we go. All right, let me pull this up. Well, let me pull it up from two different places. Let's see what the other one has. Why are you ringing? There we go. Get out of there. Let's see. That's USA Today. Let me go to 270towin.com and see if this is in there. And I'm not seeing it. Of course, I'm not seeing it. Okay, so let's just look at this one. USA Today. Apologize. But here we go. Looking at this. Scroll down here to DC. All right. With 3 electoral college votes. Now that I don't quite understand because DC is the seat of power. It is not supposed to have any power of itself. The people who live there are supposed to be just visiting, not permanent residents. If you want to vote, then you should be voting elsewhere. There you go. That's why DC they're not supposed to have representation in the Senate because it's not a freaking state. But looking at this, here you go. You have people who voted for Harris, people who voted for Trump, and the estimated vote that was in, the percentage of that vote. Here you go. DC, 92.5% of the vote went to Harris. Only 6.7% went to Trump, with 90.61% of the votes counted already. Do I need to say that again? 92.5% of the vote went to Kamala Harris. Does that sound like people who are in touch with the American people? That should tell you everything you need to know about Washington, D.C. 92.5% voted for Kamala Harris. Are you kidding me? That's residents. That's everybody. Voted 92.5% for Harris. That ought to tell you everything you need to know. All these people that work in and function at these, various departments, at the Department of Education, at the Department of Justice, at the FBI, at the CIA, at all these various people, the EPA, everything, all of 100 plus stinking bureaucracies in DC, 92.5% of them, of those who voted for Harris. Everything you need to know right there. Everything you need to know. I seen that and I was like, holy crap, that's ridiculous. And let's see here. Okay, so let's see. Dave put in there, goes, we don't protest. Yep. And fight. Yep. Yes, I always say that our messaging is not good as it should be. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot. Mostly Black Hispanic population. Is that the city of Washington? Yeah, that's Washington, D.C. Those numbers. Straight from Washington, D.C. And he put in there, goes, ever see the city of Washington? I have dilapidated. I have not. My mom's been to D.C. several times. She, working in the school district, or the senior class takes a trip up to DC every year. And, she went to there, several times. And I've been on the outskirts of DC as a truck driver, been on the outskirts, but I've never actually been into DC. Never actually been into DC. But yeah, but I'm not surprised though, because I know that, reading things about it, I know things were pretty sketchy, I guess you can say, in times. So, yeah. So what do we need to see out of the first 100 days? Trump needs to get busy on his agenda. He needs to put forth a clear plan. He needs to get Congress behind him. And, I'm going to be honest with you again on something. If the Republican Party fails to do what's necessary to reduce the size and scope of government, to cut through the red tape, they don't secure the border, they don't... Oh, here we go. Good morning, sir. You are on the air. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, good afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you, sir? Good to hear you. Good to see you.
I am fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm just sitting in my backyard getting all this vitamin D on my bald head while it still lasts. It's going to be another one of those warm winters. I don't know. So I'm just enjoying it. I'm just hanging out, listening to you on my deck and taking in all this brilliant information and your wonderful entertainment.
Fantastic, sir. Good to have you aboard.
Yeah, it's good to be here. When Trump, and I said this to a buddy of mine months ago, I said, you know what? He really needs to go. During the campaign, before we knew the results months ago, he needs to take that campaign and he needs to take the message to blue cities like New York, like, New Jersey, all the places that he's been where he's gotten these huge crowds that I think in the past Republicans wouldn't have even tried to have go to because they figured it's a lost cause. We're only going to put our money where we know we can win. And that's part of the bad messaging is that you don't even try, and then they might think, well, let's not waste our money not, trying to win in a blue city or whatever, because we only have so much money because apparently the Republicans are always underfunded. The Democrats are always way more funded. I think even in this campaign, the amount of money that Harris accumulated and spent, and apparently now she's in debt. That's what I heard, about $20 million.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, but the thing is this. If you do that, if they've done that, now what you have is this void where the blue cities feel as if you don't care. You're doing it. The Republicans have done it in the past, not went to blue cities because they thought it was a lost cause. But if you're one of those people who are in a desperate situation, poverty, welfare, whatever, in an inner city that's always been Democrat, you might interpret it as, hey, man, they never come here. They never talk to us. They don't care about us. The Democrats do. They lie. They lie to us. They never fix anything, but they will increase the programs. They will dole out more money, and things never get better because you can't just do that. You can't just give out money. That never solves the issue. So I think that's been part of the bad messaging. Is like people who have intentions in their brains but don't act out, and then the people who are supposed to receive those intentions don't get the intentions. They don't see it. They go, "Oh, I didn't know you were thinking that." No. Come to our city. We want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why when Trump went to the South Bronx, he had that massive crowd. It went great. He went to the Nassau Coliseum. It went great. He went to Madison Square Garden. It went great. He went to Jersey, which went blue, and so did New York. It all went great, but they haven't done that in the past.
I completely agree with you because, you've definitely seen that throughout the years that, just because it is a Democrat stronghold that that the Republicans look at it as a lost cause and they don't go in there. And yeah, I mean, you see, people that are in those areas that are saying that Republicans don't care. And at the same time, the only point of view that these people are hearing is the Republican point of view, and that's it. There's no contrasting point of view. There's no nothing.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, you're getting, one-sided arguments, and that's it. And you're right. The Republican Party has been very absent in these places, and that's really one of the things that I think that even in 2016 helped out Trump a lot was because he went into these areas that have been ignored by Republicans, historically ignored by Republicans, right. And, more or less presented the question of what do you have to lose?
Right.
And that's
Right.
something that really helped him out quite a bit. But you're right, though. They've
Yeah.
been ignoring these people.
And moving forward with this super team, which I feel they have, this super team of Musk and Vance and Gabbard and Kennedy and whoever else is coming on board. I think they really what do you want to call it? Super team, A team, X-Men, because
right.
Musk is X and all that. They should keep the campaign moving. I don't think they should stop at all. I mean, yes, he's won. They got to do the transition. I get all that. But while you're putting your cabinet in place and while you're doing all these appointees that he had a problem with in 2016, because he didn't know. He has admitted now he didn't know what was going on, but he did the best he could. And
right.
He was taking recommendations from the wrong people. But now, what a team. What a super team that he has. Keep the campaign, a different type of campaign, but still keep the messaging going, out there. Don't non-message. Message. Send your people out there. Continue with town halls. Continue with whatever it is that they've been doing, the groundwork, whatever you want to call all that, and get ready, because like you just said a couple of minutes ago or a half hour ago, in 2 years, we got to do this all again. And
right.
It's going to be, I'm pretty sure Trump is going to get behind Vance. I'm pretty sure he's going to, he's going to support him. He's not going to, and we don't know if the Florida governor or whoever is going to come back. We don't know who's going to primary in 2028, but we need to be prepared, and it's okay that they do. By the way, I'm very proud of the Republicans. This doesn't get spoken about a lot. They primaried a lot of people again, just like we did in 2016. And it turned out, guess what? Trump won. And, it's honest. Guess what? Go ahead.
You bring up an excellent point, because the fact of the matter is there are a lot of things that need to be accomplished, and 4 years, 2 years, it's just not going to be enough. And the biggest thing that I hope for moving forward is MAGA isn't about Trump. It's a movement, and it needs to go beyond Trump, and it's got to be something, a standard of governance, a standard of representation that needs to go beyond. And, if not, then we're just going to fall right back into the old, the old ways of governance, and of which case it doesn't work. It needs to carry forward and needs to grow beyond Trump. And that's one of the things I'm very hopeful for regarding the MAGA movement, that it doesn't end, in 4 years with the,
right.
With somebody else, with him leaving office. I hope it continues. And that's the only way that we're going to even come close to being able to fix this country.
Absolutely. I don't see this MAGA as only a Trump thing. It needs to continue on with the next president. And by the way, it needs to continue on and become such where it becomes redundant.
Oh, yeah.
Where we don't make America great again. It's great. And we make, maybe it's like mouth instead of MILF. It'll be mouth, like make America, whatever, great forever, MAGA, whatever.
Right.
Something like, let's continue. We'll find a different acronym or whatever they call it. But make America live forever, or whatever. Whatever it is. But you're right. It needs to go beyond Trump, because he will be gone in 4 years. This whole thing about we'll never have to vote again, that's so stupid. It's so dumb. We're definitely going to be voting in 2 years and 4 years and all this other stuff. Listen, so I think, like I said, that they can't do non-messaging. You can't rest on your laurels and say, hey, we won. Everybody, let's meet up at the table and you're all going to get a cabinet position and then go do your job. No, do that. But you should still be messaging. And there's ways to message. I told my local Saugerties Republican Party, they were coming up with ideas. We were sitting at the table. How do we come up with ideas? I said, let me tell you something. I believe you're an exception. You're totally an exception. I believe, and I love this number, 99% of the population really doesn't know about the Constitution. They really don't know how government works. We really don't. I mean, once you get past social studies and whatever grade, like me, I'm an average person. You're exceptional. And I don't have that little book you have. And I don't know how it works. I forget the branches of government all the time. And I don't know about the votes, the majority. I just don't know how it works. I got enough problems as it is. I'm way past social studies. So I suggested to the party, the local party, we have public access television, we have local media and stuff like that. Why don't we produce, of course, the problem is money and time and who's going to do the work. But why don't we produce these audio, video segments, a minute, like NBC used to do, The More You Know, right?
Right, yeah.
Where they got all these TV celebrities. So why doesn't the Saugerties Republican Party get together with the other local Republican parties and put together these productions, very small, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever, put it in the paper, put it on the public access TV, put it anywhere in commercials, and just educate people, right, to what they don't know, what they need to know. And at the bottom of it, it says, this message produced by the Saugerties Republican Party. Guess what? You didn't beat anybody over the head with R.V. Wade or any Republican platform policy issue. What you did was you generally educated the public. And who did that? The Democrats? No, the Republicans. So it's a good start. You know what I'm saying? That's a type of messaging they could do, just to educate and say, hey, did you know? Did you know? Is this what you heard? No, because this is the way it is. It's not a Republican thing. That's the way it works. That's the Constitution. You know what I'm saying?
And I couldn't agree with you more on that. There needs to be, something, references, guides, a continuing education, if you will, to really help people understand the intricate workings, or just, the workings of, government and what it should be. And, it's funny how you bring that up, because I'm actually working on a series of books right now that I call the Knowing series. Knowing the Constitution, knowing the Declaration of Independence, knowing the Bill of Rights, and even knowing the Federalist Papers. I'm working on that. And, a lot of the reasoning behind it, or the spirit behind it, I've got nieces and nephews, and I see a huge lacking in the education system, that they're not really teaching these fundamental truths about the Constitution, and of which case we need that, and I couldn't agree with you more. There needs to be something, resources available that can help people with it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I grew up, I don't know how many other people can agree with this. I grew up, and I don't know why this is true, but this is how I remember it. I grew up forever. I remember being taught that Abraham Lincoln was a Democrat, and he freed the slaves. But it turns out he wasn't a Democrat. He was a Republican.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is it still true?
Yeah.
They haven't changed it? They haven't revised it? So why do I have that memory, Jared? Why do I remember being taught or thought for the longest time that he was, in fact, a Democrat? But he wasn't. And who did assassinate him? Was it a Democrat?
Yeah.
Was John Wilkes? Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. That never... And I'm not going to hold it against modern day Democrats, because the guy 200 years ago. But it's kind of interesting that I don't have that memory being told that. I might have been indoctrinated when I was younger. I might have been. I don't know. I was too young to know, but my parents definitely wouldn't have known, because they weren't involved in the school system or my education. And I bet you, I know a lot of my friends' parents were not involved, because we just trusted. We were all in New York City. Yeah. And we kind of trusted. It wasn't like that 50 years ago, like it is now, where we have these arguments about parents being involved who are modern day terrorists, and all that we had that argument how many years ago. That's why the governor of Virginia is, whatever his name is, Youngkins instead of the other guy. It's interesting how it used to be, and we just trusted. Nobody questioned. But now we have information. We have technology. We have the internet. We can, the truth is out there, and the truth is coming out in many different ways, whether it's education of the past or the way the food is made in this country and so on. I'm so optimistic. I wouldn't have been depressed like a lot of the people are and distraught if Trump lost again. I wouldn't have. I would have been like, well, truck driving, go to work, get it done. Make money like you did the last 4 years and try to get to retirement. But now we have an opportunity. And I hope the Republican Party, I hope Musk and all these other guys, I hope they really move forward because it's a great team and he's more experienced. I think we have the best Trump ever. You know, I hate to quote, what's his name, Scarborough from that stupid show when he said, this is the best Biden ever. But, I mean, boy, what a jackass he looks like now, huh? Like, he said so many stupid things that all came untrue. But we do have a great Trump. Getting shot might have been, I hate to say this, but a blessing in disguise. But his age, his wisdom, yeah, he's still cantankerous. He's still, you know, he'll always be Trump to the end.
You know,
he'll be in a wheelchair. He'll always be Trump. But it's a better one.
You know, you got a point on that because, you know, you've seen a huge difference in Trump pre and post that assassination attempt. And, you know, he seemed to gain a, you know, more of a love of life and a passion behind, you know, why he is doing what it is he's doing. And, you know, like you, I'm very hopeful for, you know, what the future holds with the, you know, with the Republican Party, because, you know, you've got Elon Musk who, you know, went in and cleaned out Twitter to the point to where it's no longer recognized as the same company anymore, which is why they rebranded it as X. And it's like, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful in, you know, in what's going to happen the next few years. You know, I don't want people to think that I'm not, because I'm very much hopeful about what, you know, what the next 4 years are going to hold. I really am.
Me too. Me too. Really hopeful. And it's, you know, if he turns around the economy and makes the economy like it should have been with the drill baby drill, and he said he's going to. By the way, we really have to hold his feet to the fire. He has made some claims, like energy prices 50% reduced. Okay, well, and the war being over as president-elect, like even before he gets into office, he's going to have the whole Ukrainian thing resolved. Okay, listen, I won't be angry if he doesn't do it. I'm just saying he's made some claims. Okay, so are we good Republicans? Are we good patriots? Are we good Americans? Great, let's hold his feet to the fire.
Right,
Doesn't
exactly.
mean you impeach him. You don't impeach him if he doesn't get it done. But we're not going to let him slide on it. You said something pretty bold, you know, so get it done, and I believe he can. He's got the team, and I think already we've seen some action by these other countries. I don't remember exactly what's been said and done, but it looks like already these other countries are reacting to the fact that he's now going to be the president. And, I mean, really, the way things are being run now by Biden and Harris, he should just like take over now. And what are we waiting for? Biden wants to get the speech. So, by the way, I you know, I always hate monopolizing, but did you see his that farewell speech he gave? He's got a little pep in his step now. He sounds normal now. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I heard about it, but I didn't watch any of it. You know, his farewell speech. Yeah, I need to do that, actually. I need to.
Yeah, he walked out, and I go, well, who's this guy? He's like walking, like normal, like not that stiffness. I don't know. He probably took one of those Fox, what is that company that's always selling, you know, herbal, whatever, that medicine that always, whatever that was. Ron Elder used to sell it, and Huckabee used to sell it. So anyway, he's probably taking that thing now, Natural Life or whatever it's called. And then he comes to the microphone, and he talks. I mean, he did whisper once or twice, but he talked and went, wait a minute, who's this guy now? This is not the guy from the debate. This
That's
is not
interesting.
the guy we've seen for the last. Yeah, I think the rest really did him good. Listen, he's old. He's going to go that way eventually, but I think the rest has really done him good. I think when you work part-time, it really helps. Imagine if you only had to work part-time. But, yeah, you know, so Harris is not going to go to work. She's not going to do it. She hasn't done anything in 3.5 years. She's not going to do nothing till January, whatever. She's done, and he's done. So Trump might as well just take over now. That'd be a great Thanksgiving. How great would that be?
Oh, that'd be
Over?
awesome.
But anyway, we know that's not going to happen. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be great. Drill, baby, drill. Do all the things, but message. Keep on messaging, and keep on doing these town halls. Get your A team out there and find more A team members. And you know, you got DeSantis. You got great governors out there. You got Vivek. Vivek is awesome in my book.
Yeah.
You know. And go out there, speak to the transgenders, speak to the gay, speak to the arts, speak to Hollywood, speak to everybody. And you know what? I think it's going to be, you know, I don't want to say red wave. I don't, you know, but I like this red, white, and blue wave. I go more with that. I think we have a great
Right on.
opportunity to not only make America great again, I think we have an opportunity to make, I don't know, not utopia. That's kind of maybe, crazy. But you know what I'm saying? Is like really, really make America as great as it needs to be, as great as it should be, and just move the goalposts the right way and do everything. We're going to get there. I'm confident. And as long as he stays alive, which is another issue, as long as that Secret
Right,
Service does their job, let's not forget about that. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be great. I think trucking is going to be okay. I think industry is going to be okay. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm having a hard time on Facebook with a lot of these they're still TDS, there's still Trump derangement.
Yeah, they are so angry.
Dude, they're so angry. They're so sick. Oh my God, I could show you some threads. Where they go, I was crying all night and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
I've seen that
one guy
too.
posted,
It's like, holy cow.
Oh my God, yeah. And then one guy posted, what do I tell my children? And everybody's like, all these comments, everybody. And I got in there, I went, how old are your kids? And he goes, 5 and 10. And I'm like, why are your kids so involved? I mean, the 5-year-old?
Yeah,
really?
they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, so why are you so concerned about your kids and who's the president? I said to him, I said, you know what you should worry about? Toys, games, playtime, food, friends, travel, and keep your kids away from politics. Politics, I said this to him, politics are confusing for adults. Why would you let your 5 and 10-year-old be involved in politics? I mean, are you kidding? Just tell them mom and dad are the president and vice president, and the family around you that we have, whatever, I don't know how big his family is the Congress and the Senate. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
We're taking care of you. You're fine. Ride your 2-wheel bike, your 4-wheel bike, do your roller skates, play outside. But he was like, well, ideally, that's a good idea, but my kids aren't unaware. And I'm like, well, but why are they aware? Because you're talking about it in front of them. It's not a good idea. Jared, you weren't 5 or 10 that long ago. I wasn't 5 or 10 that long ago. You remember 5 and 10? I remember it.
I do, and I remember not knowing anything about government, politics, president, none of that. I knew absolutely nothing.
Nothing. You knew that Kennedy, you probably knew there was a Lincoln and a Washington because there was probably pictures on the wall.
Right.
You might have known about Kennedy. You might have known about Nixon. You might have, because that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But you didn't know about anything else. You might have known your mayor. In New York, I always knew the mayor. From Lindsay on, I always knew the mayor. But, please, what are you doing with your kids?
Yeah,
That's a big
outside of
problem,
that.
by the way. Yeah, that's a big problem. So anyway, I was all about I Dream of Jeannie and Speed Racer and all that. I was all about TV. I wasn't all about that. So, but that's a problem, Jared. I posted earlier. You can legislate everything until the cows come home. You can make laws on top of laws, but unless you fix these people, these laws are only going to be so effective because you're still going to have messed up people. That to me is what's the word they use? I can't believe I'm forgetting the word. Help me. Climate change. What do they say about climate change? It's the problem. No, I'm such an idiot. What's the thing they always say about the biggest problem with the world? Something istic. Is that ringing a bell?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I'll type it later.
I'm sorry.
You've heard this word a million times, but the biggest, not surrealistic, the biggest EC, you know what it is. I'll tell you later. The biggest problem with this country right now, the biggest problem is us as human beings, is those who just don't deal with reality well, and those who we make a lot of mistakes. We eat wrong, and we educate wrong, and we do a lot of crazy things. The biggest threat, it's the word that always comes before threat. The biggest...
Existential threat?
Yes, thank you. Ding, 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 ding,
There
ding.
we go.
The biggest existential threat. Wow, we did it. Two brains make one. But the biggest existential threat in this country, in the world for that matter, as far as I'm concerned, last thing, and I'll let you go, is we are the existential threat. We, as human beings, need to do better. We can all look at ourselves in the mirror and all look at ourselves and go, well, I guess this is a little extravagant, or, hey, this is a little, like, I don't really need this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be nicer. I could be more productive. I could be more resourceful. There's a lot of people just, you know what I'm saying? It goes on. And then government, that's why they think they need the government, because we can't handle it. So if we can't handle it, we think that we need the government to fix it for us. Not true. We can handle everything. Human beings can do everything we want.
Yep.
Like you said before, smaller government. All right. That's my deal. Sorry.
Awesome, sir. Well, I greatly appreciate the call. Thank you. Awesome insight.
You got it, buddy. You got it, man. I'm looking forward to your network. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you do something. I hope it happens, and I know you're going to do it. You're going to do it right.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And yes, we will get in contact about that one because, I'm definitely wanting to bring you on board, so absolutely. I'm excited about it. It'll be happening soon.
Oh, okay. All right. Listen, you know where I'm at. You know my number.
Right on. All righty, sir. Thank you much. You have a great one.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. That was Dave Canyon, host of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Awesome podcaster. And I tell you what, he, excellent points he was making. And, like he was stating, because I'm pretty hopeful about the next 4 years. I really am. And I haven't really been reading a lot of information about who Trump plans on putting in his team. I mean, obviously, I know about, the Department of Government, whatever, DOGE, that Elon Musk is going to be head of. And I mean, there's all kinds of people that he could bring into his administration. Like he was saying with Vivek Ramaswamy, that would be an excellent pick for something. I've even been hearing thrown around, Dan Bongino for, at least to help with the FBI or the Secret Service and whatnot. And in which case, yeah, and so many people that I've heard getting thrown around, but I haven't, I haven't been doing any research into it. I think I've seen a couple articles of people that may be getting into the Trump administration. I don't really know, but I am curious to see what happens, who he plans on putting in his team. And if I am remembering correctly, he is pretty close to having, everything put together. I think an article that I read a few days ago, maybe, that was talking about that. So, I'm hopeful. I'm excited. There's a lot of work to do. And here's the crux of the whole thing. Okay. Here's the crux of the whole thing. The election is over. We got the celebration done and out of the way. Now is the time to get to work. Now's the time to get to work. Just because we have Trump back in office, just because we have a, Republican majority doesn't mean that it's time to get complacent and slip back into old habits. No, now's the time to get to work. We got to hold them accountable. We got to make sure we let them know what we want, communicate that, and make sure that we actually get the results that we're needing. The mandate is clear to the Republican Party: govern. We sent you to office. We voted for you. We got behind you because you said you would do these things. Now do it. And I tell you what, if they don't, and look, I've had this frame of mind for quite some time that the Republican Party is dead. I've definitely had that frame of mind for some time. It's time for something new. It's time for something different. It's time for something greater than what was. Is that the MAGA movement? Is MAGA going to be the next evolution of the Republican Party? It has the potential. It really does. It has the potential. But the only way to do it is through we, the people. We are the driving force behind this. And it's high time that we remembered that. And it's high time that we remind the federal government just who's in charge. They govern through the consent of the governed. That's us. That's you. That's me. We're the ones that's supposed to be, okay, they may drive the ship, but we provide the wind that's in the sail. We tell them where to go, how to get there, the whole 9 yards. They may be at the helm, but it's us that's actually directing the ship, supposed to be. We're the Garmin, we're the GPS, we're the wind in the sail. We're the fuel in the motor. We are the motor. They're only supposed to go where we tell them to go. That's it. Shrink the size and scope of government. It's time. Take power back to the states and to the people. That's where it belongs. Abso-freaking-lutely. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. That's it. Oh, before I go, I apologize. Before I go, there is one more thing. This coming Monday, November 11th, is Veterans Day. Okay? And for the past numerous years, actually, Andrew Wilkow, host of the Wilkow Majority, which is on SiriusXM Patriot Channel 125 between the noon and 3 o'clock hour Eastern time. This Monday, he's going to be doing a fundraiser for numerous different 501c3 charities, grassroots charities, to raise money for various causes. Let me go ahead and pull up the Wilkow. No, it's not the Wilkow. It's WilkowMajority.com. Just head over there, and you'll see the shirts that he has on here. It's Operation Close Air Support Veterans Day 2021. There are several grassroots charities that is involved. You got Rockland Homes for Heroes. You've got Paws for Purple Hearts. You got Stop Soldier Suicide. You have Veterans and Community Housing Coalition, Life War, and, others besides. Oh, what's that one? That's Horses for Heroes. That's what that one is. So a lot of different ones. And is what Andrew Wilkow does is he allows a pass-through. Okay. They've had, donations and benefactors that came in and they bought a butt ton of t-shirts, and is what they do for a minimum donation of $25. They will give you this t-shirt for free. All you pay is shipping and handling, and every single penny goes to, of your donation, goes to the charitable organization of your choosing, whether it be Paws for Purple Hearts, Horses for Heroes, Stop Soldier Suicide, and there's many others on top of that as well. Every dollar spent goes to the cause that they are promoting. Every single penny. They don't have employees, they have volunteers. They don't have advertising costs, they don't have administrative costs. They're not paying lawyers, they're not doing any of that kind of crap. Every dollar donated is a dollar that goes to the cause. These are people that, Andrew's familiar with, companies that he's worked for, organizations that he's worked for years. And is what he is allowing them, he is giving them a national stage to increase the amount of money that they're able to bring in through donations and give back to the veterans. I stand behind that. I really do. A lot of respect to our veterans, as every American should have. A lot of respect. I support what Wilkow is doing. I've donated myself, and I hope you do too. I really do. So head over to WilkowMajority.com. That is WILKOW Majority.com. WilkowMajority.com at the top of the page. Check out the different organizations. And mind you, donating through WilkowMajority.com is not going to get you, it's not a tax deductible contribution because Will Cow Majority is not a 501c3, organization, charity organization. Is what this is a pass-through. For your donation, you get a free shirt. If you're wanting the tax deductible donation, then you can just go to these various organizations directly and contribute that way. Otherwise, willcowmajority.com. Check out the different organizations that is going to be part of this. And if you are on SiriusXM Radio at noon Eastern, Monday, November 11th, tune in, and he will be, interviewing some people from these various groups and organizations that will be talking about the money that they have raised. And I believe this year, the number that they are wanting to raise through willcowmajority.com is like $200,000 or $250,000. And last I knew, the number was already up to $167,000. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So there you go. willcowmajority.com. That is willcowmajority.com. Check that out. Donate, support the troops, support the veterans. Definitely, I love what he's doing. It's awesome. It's amazing. Thank you very much for stopping by, for participating in the show. I greatly appreciate it. Dave's awesome. Shout out to Linda Irwin, too, over there in Spreakerland. She's awesome. She really is. So anyway, that's all I got. Y'all have yourself a great one, and I will see you in the next one. This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpikle.com. Until next time.